Hey, what's up guys? Welcome back to Headbangers Closet. So this video, I was inspired to do this video yesterday. I was cruising through Instagram yesterday, checking out all the killer Iron Maiden, Peace of Mind, happy birthday, anniversary posts. It came out yesterday, May 16th, 1983, 41 years young, and one of my favorite albums of all time, one of my favorite Maiden records. That Eddie is not only is Eddie iconic, but this particular Eddie, this artwork is probably the most recognizable Eddie of them all, in my opinion. Just such a great record, but like I said, I was scrolling through Instagram, checking out the killer posts, and ran across my good buddy Tyler Heath's page, Heath and Hammer on Instagram. If you're not following him, go do so. You will not regret it. One of the coolest dudes in all of heavy metal. One of the best follows in all of heavy metal on social media. Great record collection. He's the frontman of many bands, my favorite of which is Leather Duchess. Great band. Check them out as well. But go give him a follow. He's a super cool dude. I say he's a buddy of mine. I've never actually met him. I kind of feel that way with a bunch of people on like Instagram specifically when I post pictures of my collection and I follow them. They post pictures of theirs. We talk about albums we love. It's a huge passion of ours. You know, heavy metal, this heavy metal community. There are folks all over the world in this community. I post a photo of a record I love. Start talking to someone like in India about the same record, and you just kind of become friends like that on social media when you haven't really met the person. So maybe some of you guys feel that way about some folks that you guys interact with online. But anyway, Tyler's a super cool dude. Love talking about metal. He's so much more knowledgeable than I am, so I've learned a lot from him. I've discovered a lot of new bands from him. But such a cool dude. We like almost all the same bands, so it's just always fun chit-chatting with him on Instagram. But I was going through the photos, and I was looking at his post for Iron Maiden's Peace of Mind, and he made a good point which inspired the video. He said that Peace of Mind was such a great record, but it sometimes can be a little bit overlooked because the one before it was the iconic classic heavy metal album, The Number of the Beast, which came out in 1982, first album of Bruce Dickinson, and then the one right after it in 1984 is Power Slave, which that's my favorite Iron Maiden record. So you have Peace of Mind sandwiched between two iconic classic heavy metal records of all time. And I started thinking, what other huge, very successful metal bands had a discography so great that you could pick out a absolute phenomenal record and it would still kind of be lower in the ranking if you were to do a ranking of that band's discography, or something overlooked because it's sandwiched between other phenomenal records. So I just picked a few albums in my collection that I thought were albums that I loved that I might feel were a little bit overlooked because, like I said, sandwiched between classics. So I just want to show you guys those records, kind of get y'all's thoughts. I thought this could be like a fun video to get people chatting about metal and chatting about albums. So there's Peace of Mind. Like I said, came out in 83, May 16th, sandwiched between The Number of the Beast and Power Slave. Next one is going to be Ozzy, and I picked two because I couldn't narrow it down to just the one. Ozzy's discography is awesome. Everybody talks about the big three for the most part. You have Blizzard of Oz, Diary of a Madman, and Bark at the Moon. And I absolutely love The Ultimate Sin. Came out in 1986, and phenomenal record, but it came right after Bark at the Moon, which is probably my favorite Ozzy album. Kind of go back and forth between that one and Diary, but such a great record. Ultimate Sin, the title track, so awesome. I loved the video, loved the guitar riff on this one. And then after that, he put out the tribute to Randy Rhoads, but then the next studio record was 1988's No Rest for the Wicked. Absolutely love this album. Miracle Man's great, and to be honest with you, Crazy Babies is great. Devil's Daughter is awesome. I kind of got into this record. This is one that as a kid I kind of didn't really get into, and then when he released the Live and Loud 2 CD live set from the No More Tours tour, No More Tears. God, how funny that dude toured. He's still going strong almost now, right? Anyway, so he did the No More Tours tour in support of No More Tears, and they played a bunch of songs from this record. That's where I really got into it, especially Miracle Man was one of my favorite songs off that Live and Loud album. But a great record, came out in 88, and then after that was the No More Tears album, which is absolutely phenomenal. Love that record. I think that's kind of getting back to Ozzy's form, which I think he maybe left off a little bit on Bark at the Moon, and he kind of gets back in the swing of things with Zakk Wylde on No More Tears. So I picked those two records because I love them. They're awesome. They're great records. Every Ozzy fan loves them, but I think they might get a little bit overshadowed by those albums that they're kind of sandwiched between. So the next one is going to be Kiss's Asylum. This one came out in 1985, sandwiched between 1984's Animalize. That's where I got into Kiss from the Heavens on Fire video. But then after that, it's Crazy Nights from 1987. Love this record. Tears Are Falling is absolutely phenomenal. Can't get enough of that song. Watch the video on MTV constantly for that song, as well as Heavens on Fire and Crazy Nights from those two records, Animalize and Crazy Nights. But this one is, I just like this one better. There's just something about it. I really like this one. And I think people kind of forget about it a little bit because Animalize was that big, they had videos for other songs, but Analyze was that big album where they had Heavens on Fire video. It was at the top of the charts and all the videos and whatnot. And then, of course, Crazy Nights was just a phenomenal album. And this one kind of gets overlooked, in my opinion. But I dig it. And this is my wheelhouse for Kiss. I love the 70s stuff, but 84, when Animalize came out and the Heavens on Fire video came out on MTV, I became a Kiss fan, and I lasted all through the 80s. I love the 80s era Kiss. That's my favorite era Kiss. So moving right along, we have Pantera's Far Beyond Driven. This thing came out, I think, in 92. No, my bad, 94. March of 94. I was a senior in high school. I went and saw him on this tour. But I feel this one's kind of overlooked because you have the Cowboys from Hell that came before it, and then you have, you had Far Beyond... Vulgar Display of Power, damn it. And then you had the Great Southern Trendkill, which Great Southern Trendkill is probably my favorite Pantera album. But those two albums are, arguably their best records overall. I know Cowboys from Hell is up there, but I still think Vulgar Display of Power and Great Southern Trendkill are their two best records. And then you've got this thing sandwiched in between them. Still a great record. 5 Minutes Alone is awesome. I'm Broken is awesome. Becoming is awesome. Love the whole thing. So many great songs, Shedding Skin, so many great tunes off this, but it easily gets overlooked. A lot of people kind of rank this towards the bottom of Pantera's discography. I think it's a great record. Moving right along, I chose this album. I love this record. I've talked about it on my channel before. I absolutely love this record, but I chose this album because the band itself does not like this record. 1985's Theater of Pain from Mötley Crüe. I love this record. I love Mick Mars' guitar tone. I think his tone is heavy. I've talked about it at length on this channel. I've talked about it at length on Instagram on my Headbangers Closet page. Love the record. I think it's phenomenal. The guys hate it. And I get it. They were coming off Shout at the Devil, right? And then they were going to go into Girls, 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 which would come out a couple years later in 87. So this kind of fits into the criteria. A record that's kind of sandwiched between two classics in heavy metal. And it sometimes gets overlooked, and it doesn't really help when the band says they think it sucks. But I get it, they were, Vince was coming off like the whole like probation thing for the car accident, and they were trying not to be massive addicts just yet, and it just, I don't know, they from what they've said in the book The Dirt, they weren't feeling it. It felt rushed. I think it's a great record. Absolutely love it. I like the new look that they had on, kind of ditching some of that look they had on the Shout at the Devil, and before they would get to the biker looking Girls, 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 they kind of had this weird, different colors, spandex, ripped stuff, kind of a little bit more colorful than they had on Shout at the Devil, I guess, maybe. I don't know. I love this record. Absolutely phenomenal. Moving right along, we have got State of Euphoria from Anthrax. This thing came out in September of 1988, and I love this album. I've said before, this is probably my favorite Anthrax record. I do kind of go back and forth between this one and Spreading the Disease. But I chose this album because you've got Persistences of Time, which came out in 1990. And then before it, you have Among the Living, which came out in 87. Two of the band's best records. This thing kind of does get a little bit overlooked. The only thing they really play off this album anymore is Antisocial, which sounds phenomenal live, by the way. But great record. I love this one. This was not my introduction to Anthrax, but when I was a kid, and it's probably why I like this album the most now, is when I was a kid, this is the one I listened to the most because the song Finally has a line where I drink 3 6-packs just so I can look at your face. I always thought that was funny and super cool, so I just kind of listened to this album and that song like over and over and over again. But I absolutely love it. Next, we have Slayer's South of Heaven, my all-time favorite Slayer record. And, some people might be saying, well, that's not really overlooked, and I agree. None of these albums are actually overlooked. The point of it is these are records that are completely sandwiched between two greats. You have Rain and Blood, and then you have Seasons of the Abyss. And this thing, Rain and Blood came out in 86, Seasons of Mist 1990. This thing kind of gets overlooked, overshadowed by those bands, but this is a freaking phenomenal record, all right? All rippers, no skippers on this thing, dude. Love this album. My favorite Slayer record, like I said. I cannot get enough. If I want to listen to Slayer, chances are the first thing I'm putting on is this record. So absolutely love it. Next, we have, kind of similar to Slayer, we have another iconic album. It's from Megadeth. This is So Far, So Good, So What. Another one of my favorites, just like South of Heaven. This is my favorite Megadeth record, and it's easy to see why I included this. So this thing came out in 1998, January of 98, and I'll be honest with you, this sounds like a second record, okay? The second record was Peace Sells Me Who's Buying, which came out in 1986. This kind of sounds like it belongs before that. That sounds like a much superior produced album, written album, produced album, played album, recorded album, and then this thing came out. Phenomenal record, love it. It's my favorite Megadeth record. Right after this, you have Rust in Peace from 1990. So, yeah, you can kind of see how this one kind of gets a little overshadowed, but I absolutely love this thing. Hook and Mouth is great, In My Darkest Hour is awesome. The beginning, Into the Lungs of Hell and Set the World Afire. Is there a better 1-2 punch in all of heavy metal? I don't really think so. That's it right there. Into the Lungs of Hell and Set the World Afire. Awesome. Megadeth. So Far, So Good, So What. And so glad they finally reissued the t-shirt. It's my favorite t-shirt from Megadeth. And lastly, I just threw this on there because I saw Judas Priest last Saturday in Atlanta. This is going to be Defenders of the Faith, probably my favorite Judas Priest record. And it's not really overlooked. Yeah, it comes, you know, I don't even remember off the top of my head what come before this. I think Screaming for Vengeance. And then right after this, you had, I think, Ram It Down and then Painkiller. But this is a great record. I just kind of wanted an excuse to talk about how awesome Judas Priest is. They sounded phenomenal, dude. Like, I didn't get a t-shirt because I just didn't really want to wait in that line. I just wasn't in the mood. I was hanging out with my friends. We went out for some beers and dinner beforehand. Then went to the show. Had awesome seats. I'm a huge Sabaton fan, so I was really looking forward to seeing those guys. So I didn't get a shirt, but I gotta say, man, Priest killed it. They sounded better than they've ever have. This is my fourth time seeing them. It's so hard to believe that Rob is that freaking old. He's in his 70s. But he sounded amazing. The entire band sounded great. They were tight, just sounded so crisp. It was awesome. So I just wanted an excuse to talk about Judas Priest for a second. So anyway, those are my favorite records from my collection, the ones I could pull out that I feel are kind of overlooked because they're sandwiched between two iconic albums in that band's discography. So interested to see what you guys think about it. Leave me a comment if you don't mind. I'd love to talk about metal with you guys. So appreciate everybody checking out the channel and tuning in. I'll have another video for you very soon. Cheers, everybody.